This week's build video is essentially an experiment to see if I can persuade our garden spiders to take up residence and build their webs in a frame I'm making from cedar planks. And since it's summer break, I hope the kids might join in. Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to my second YouTube video. So, Lacey and I returned from the home center with 2 rough cedar fence pickets. As this project is an experiment, I really didn't want to go overboard on supplies. Cedar is generally a good choice for outdoor projects, and I also grabbed some aluminum U-channel to use as a post. Cedar fencing has a coarse face, which adds visual interest, but it requires sanding to provide a proper surface to accept glue. I sanded one face, and the fronts would remain rough. Of the 3 layouts I made in Illustrator, I like the 12-sided frame the most. Taking a quick measurement of the width and length of the planks, I verified that I could get all pieces needed from these 2 pickets. This 12-sided shape is a dodecagon, and I can kind of see those angles forming a web. I ripped the strips in 2 sizes, and then I squared off the ends and cut them to length. I wanted a final frame diameter close to 20 inches. Referencing my Illustrator file, I cut the strips into blocks measuring 5 3/4 inches in length. After cutting the pieces to this rough length, I changed the angle of the saw to 15 degrees and repositioned my stop block for the final size. This final length really doesn't matter, as anything close to 20 inches in final diameter is fine. Having cut the first 15-degree bevel, I flipped the pieces over to cut the remaining bevel. Just make sure you flip it in the right direction so the bevels converge. After a little light sanding on the corners and some touch-up on the belt sander, the pieces are ready for glue-up. Here you can see the finished pieces for the individual rings. The 2 rings will be glued together in the end. This cedar has very open end grain, and each piece sucked up the glue like a straw. I'm using an exterior grade wood glue with a long setup time to allow more time to properly position and clamp the frames. I used a band clamp to hold the frame in tension while the glue set up overnight. The clamp removal went well, and it was onto the assembly of the different rings. So, the reason I have 2 different widths for the rings is so I can glue them together. I just wasn't comfortable with the miter glue joints holding over time, so I am sandwiching the 2 rings together. The rings are rotated so that the joints overlap solid cedar. After clamping these together, I cleaned up the excess glue by scraping it out of the corners with a chisel. The more band clamps you have, the quicker the process will go, as you can have several rings drying at the same time. As it turned out, I had some spare aluminum on hand and didn't need the U-channel I had purchased, so I returned it. That brought the total cost of these spider frames to less than $8. I painted the scrap aluminum I had on hand, and my son joined in to help me add the posts. Okay?
When it's like this?
Yeah, just mark the line on the outside, on either side. Yeah, there. And then come around and mark it on this side too. Okay, perfect. And then we want to cut that part out. You almost through it?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can see it, right?
Yep. Okay, stop. No, the trick is to get it to slide back out. There we go. So
Does that look like it's through?
We don't want it through this one, we just want it through the top one. Okay? You ready?
Yes. Whoops, I went to the other one.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
That's okay. It's glued down so you can't get it off. Don't go through both of them, just go down to that bottom one.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. It's always good to have help with a project, and he jumped right in. This cedar cuts and chips away very easily and is a great wood for kids to work with. We teamed up with the chisel. I would position it and he would tap it with a hammer. Okay, just lightly tap it. Okay. I'll set it up and then you tap it. When I say go, tap it. Go. Okay, stop. The ends of the aluminum needed a bit of shaping. I decided to round over the sharp edges on the aluminum posts by running it over a belt sander. I touched it up with a coat of paint after rounding the edges, marked the hole position, and drilled a starter hole which would be expanded later to fit the size of the bolt. The galvanized bolt needed a bit of shaping to fit into the aluminum channel, so I used the belt sander to shape the head and remove the material. A washer and nut attached to the bolt, securing the post to the spider frame. I inserted a strip left over from cutting the pickets on the table saw into the aluminum channel and gave the whole project a coat of black paint so it's less noticeable from the street. I want to tell you to go make that, but I will follow up in a couple of months to let you know if the spiders follow my plan and occupy the frames.